This is Easy Lithuanian video series about grammar, and today we'll talk about verb prefixes and usage of tenses. In Lithuanian there are only 4 tenses, while in English there are many more tenses. And how do we express the ideas that the action was finished, the action was continuous, and so on? We don't have perfect tenses, we don't have continuous tenses like in English, perfect continuous tenses, but we have only 4 tenses. How do we emphasize that the action was finished? We use prefixes. And we use prefixes to form prefixed verbs, which may correspond with the phrasal verbs in English, a verb and a preposition, while in Lithuanian, a prefix and a verb. And these prefixed verbs have different aspects of meanings, different shades of meanings, or the same meanings sometimes. So, padaryti means, daryti means to do, and it's a continuous action, while padaryti means to do, and it's a finished action. I will use such markers to indicate what verbs mean continuous actions and what verbs mean finished actions. I will use such markers in my future common prefixed verbs videos. If there's a continuous action, that means it's in progress and there's no concern about results. The results don't matter. While in the finished action verbs, the result matters and the action was finished or will be finished. Depends on the tense. And if you know Russian, there are 2 types of verbs: perfective, finished, and imperfective, continuous. Like делать and сделать. It's simple. It's similar to Lithuanian. But in Lithuanian there's no clear distinction between these 2 kinds of verbs. If you take a verb, sometimes it's difficult to tell whether the verb is imperfective or perfective, so there's no such clear distinction. We can't say 100% this verb is this and this verb is that. But sometimes we just need to know which prefix makes the verb mean a finished action. And if we know that prefix, which you'll know by this marker of finished action, you will be able to express some actions that you couldn't if you didn't know which prefix means a finished action. So the prefix can be any, like skaityti to read and perskaityti to read. Again, a finished action. There can be per, no, I, ish, and so on. There can be many prefixes instead of this. Now, how to use the continuous and the finished actions in various tenses. Let's see the continuous actions. What if you use, at first let's use the verb that's without the prefix, it's the continuous action, skaityti. Let's use the present tense, skaito, he, she, they, reads or is reading. That means that the action is happening at the moment. It's at the moment. Although, sometimes it can mean a regular action, but a regular continuous action, because jis visada skaito, he is always reading, or he always reads. It's not a finished action, it's a continuous action, but a regular continuous action. So, but most of the time it means happening at the moment, skaito. Now, what if we use this verb in past simple tense? We get continuous action in the past, like past continuous in English. Skaitė, jis skaitė, he, she was reading. We don't know whether they finished reading the book, whether the action was finished. We only know that the action was continuous and it was in the past. What if we use the past frequentative tense, skaitydavo? The past frequentative tense, if you watch the video about the tense, means that the action was repeated many times in the past. But the action that was repeated was a continuous one, skaitydavo. He, she, they read many times in the past, but we don't know whether they finished reading. Again, a continuous action, it's not difficult to understand. And now, future tense, skaitys, he, she, they will read or will be reading. The action that will be in the future is continuous. Very simple. Now, finished action. What if we use the verb with the prefix? When we say perskaito in the present tense, perskaito dažnai, dažnai means often. It's a regular finished action. The action is regular and it's finished. It's not a continuous action. If we say perskaitė, jis, ji perskaitė, he, she, they have read. It's a finished action in the past. It's not continuous. If you want to say that he, she read, but you don't know whether they finished, you use a continuous action. While if you know that they finished reading, the action was finished, you use this verb with the prefix. Now, in past frequentative tense, the repeated action was finished. Again, not continuous, but finished. Very simple. And the future tense, the action that will be in the future, perskaitys, will be a finished action, not a continuous. But again, a little attention to the present tenses, to the one present tense, because in Russian, for example, in Russian there's no present tense for perfective verbs, for finished verbs. But in Lithuanian there is, and this means that the finished action is regular. Many times the action is finished. It's a habit, and so on. While the imperfective form, the continuous action, means happening at the moment or happening again, a trend, a habit, and so on. Or happening at the moment, like present continuous in English. So that's it about the tenses. If you have this table, you will know how to use all the tenses and which verb to use. If you want to say that the action was finished in the past, you use the verb that has this marker next to it with that prefix which is written. If you want to say that the action was only continuous, you use a verb without the prefix, with the marker, with the green marker. You will see in my future videos these markers will be. Like in this example, aš skaičiau knygą. I read the book. Maybe I didn't finish reading the book. The results don't matter. The fact, only the fact matters. The fact that I read the book. That's it. The fact matters. But it doesn't matter whether I finished reading. If I say aš perskaičiau knygą, that means that I have read the book. I have read the book, and the result matters because I finished reading the book and the result is here. And a typical video will be like this. The typical view will be like this. If you want to say that finished action in the past, you search for this yellow orange marker. It shows that this verb nuveikti is a finished action, so you use this. If the marker is next to another prefix, you use that verb to say that something is finished. And there will be the main verb with the three basic verb forms and all the verb prefixes, and if they form something, they are written. They are written with their translations. If they don't form, if such verb doesn't exist, I don't write such verbs, of course. There will be also sentence examples and sentences with reflexive verbs and so on. Now, you may have noticed that some prefixes correspond with prepositions, but sometimes correspond with it was made from the preposition po, which means under. Po. But this prefix doesn't necessarily mean that the action is related with under. It's not necessarily so. But it sometimes can mean so. And prefixes with the prepositions are related somehow. So means with. Apie means about or around. I means to or into. Iš means from or out. This action is directed outwards. Už means behind or beyond. Per means through. And most of the time you will see verbs with this per prefix, and they have the meaning of through or re. For example, redo something, rewrite, and so on. And you will notice how these prefixes form prefixed verbs, and they have different meanings. And you will see sentence examples, and you will learn a lot from these videos. So take a look at common prefixed verbs part 3, the next video that will be posted soon, and have a nice day.